Muted. Oh, right. All right, everybody. We are live on a couple of platforms here. What we're going to offer you today is a retake on our MonDak Summit. We'll just have one of our presentations doing a retake today, and then at another time I'll jump on live with another gal that just had really spotty audio when we recorded. This one, when we originally recorded, we lost the slides. So we want to make sure that we bring you every ounce of education that you deserve. So let me get to my notes here. This conversation, I am so grateful to get the opportunity to bring to you again, and it will be available in the MonDak replay area as well. So, Samantha has come to be a friend of mine. She is the founder of The Story of Our Lives, and her work is rooted in something many of us are feeling right now. And that is depletion. Not just physical exhaustion, but that deeper sense of running on empty while still trying to show up for everyone and everything. Samantha's path into this work wasn't theological, it was forged through real life and real loss and real questions about why our system so often is somewhat late to the party, right? Instead of helping people truly heal. Her story weaves together gut health, energy, mindset, and belief that our bodies are designed to restore when given the right support. Today's Samantha will be using slides to walk us through how energy impacts healing at a cellular level, how simple foundational choices matter more than we think, and how tools like the Centropics technology can support the body's natural ability to recharge. This isn't about hyper trends, it's about listening to your body, honoring the warning signs, and deciding intentionally that your health is no longer optional and it cannot be postponed. So, warm welcome to Samantha.
Hey, Tanya, thanks so much. And I am honored to be here and thrilled to be a part of this and privileged to count you as part of my tribe and one of my friends.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me remove myself and bring up your slides and take.
All right. Hello, and thank you so much for being here and choosing to spend time in a space focused on education, empowerment, and whole person wellness. We are living in a moment in history where more people than ever are waking up to the reality that the current healthcare system is not designed to support health. It's designed to manage disease. It's fragmented, reactive, expensive, and often driven by fear. People are tired. They're tired of being told their labs look normal while they don't feel normal. They're tired of feeling like they have no options. And this summit exists because people want something different. They want to understand, not fear. They want options, not ultimatums. And they want solutions that honor the whole human being. That is exactly why the story of our lives exists. Change doesn't happen alone. It happens when people come together with a shared purpose, and I'm both excited and grateful to be a part of that. The core problem in modern healthcare is that it looks at the body in pieces. Labs show numbers, symptoms describe experience, imaging shows structure, but the body doesn't work in silos. Stress impacts digestion, digestion impacts immunity, inflammation impacts hormones, energy, mood, and cognition. Immunity impacts inflammation, and underneath it all sits the nervous system. Here is the truth that changes everything. Chemistry follows energy. and biology follows belief. And the body responds to the environment that it's given. When we ignore stress, grief, trauma, mindset, and nervous system regulation, we miss the true drivers of imbalance. This is not anti medicine, it's pro context. Western medicine excels at acute and emergency care. Holistic and functional practices excel at pattern recognition, prevention, and resilience. We need both. The goal is to help people understand that their body is not broken and that they have more influence over their health than they've ever been led to believe. That became a very real uh, that became very real to me during my own cancer diagnosis in 2021. From what I experienced and what many experience, it's a system driven by fear. From the moment that you hear the word cancer, the message is urgent and overwhelming. You must decide now. Time is of the essence. Endless appointments, scans, biopsies, labs, procedures, consultations. Very quickly, you are moving so fast that there's no space to pause, breathe, or truly understand what's happening. And what's missing is education. People are rarely given the tools or resources to make informed decisions. Instead, fear becomes the primary motivator, and fear is powerful. Here in the MonDak, that fear is compounded by real life stress, time off work, long distance travel, housing, fuel, food, medical expenses. And on top of it all, let's not forget we're not only managing our own emotions, but we're also ending up having to manage other people's emotions. Anyone with a serious diagnosis understands this. I tend to be fairly private. I did not talk to a lot of people when I received my diagnosis in 21. I did spend a significant amount of time on my phone and my laptop researching any and everything that I could get my hands on. When my sister Steph got her diagnosis, she shared it with everyone, and she shared much of her journey with everyone. My family had a lot of questions as to why I did not share. And at the end of the day, different personalities handle things differently. I really had no interest in hearing what everyone else's opinion was on what I needed to do with my body. After all, I'm the only one who has to live in it. And I needed to keep all of the many loud voices at bay while I studied and went to numerous consultations and appointments and wrapped my head around what was going on and what I was going to do about it. There isn't a right or a wrong. Each person has to decide within themselves what they can handle and how they want to proceed. Most people are never taught how much their daily choices influences their body over time. When you get the cancer diagnosis, the common explanation is you're just unlucky. We really don't know what causes this. That narrative removes context and it removes personal influence. What rarely gets talked about, belief matters. The relationship between the heart and the brain affects the nervous system, stress, hormones, and the body's internal environment. What we believe about our body, our future, our faith, and ourselves shapes how the body responds. For example, it's incredibly hard to heal if you hate yourself or if you hate others. It's also incredibly hard to heal if you don't believe in the treatment that you're getting. Food matters. Highly processed foods and excess sugar contribute to inflammation and metabolic stress. Over time, that changes how the body functions and adapts. My grandparents grew up eating about 15 to 20 pounds of sugar a year. Today, we consume over 100 pounds annually, and much of it is hidden in processed foods. Seed oils like canola, soybean, corn, and sunflower oil are highly processed and are high in omega 6 fats. When consumed regularly and in excess, they can also contribute to inflammation and metabolic stress especially when not in balance with whole foods and omega-3 fats. Environmental exposure matters. The products that we've used for decades, lotions, cosmetics, cleaners, laundry detergent, dryer sheets, yard chemicals, all contribute to the total load that the body has to manage. Daily cosmetics and hair products often contain endocrine disruptors that can interfere with hormonal signaling over time. It's not about one product, it's about the cumulative exposure and the total load. Nothing happens overnight, it's all cumulative. We don't judge smoking by one cigarette, we understand it by accumulation. The same is true for food, chemicals, alcohol, and stress. Over time, the total load changes how the body adapts. There is a gut brain connection. The gut doesn't just digest food, it constantly sends information to the brain. In fact, about 90% of serotonin, a key neurotransmitter involved in mood, motivation, and emotional stability, is produced in the gut, not in the brain. When the gut environment is irritated, inflamed, or under chronic stress, the signals sent to the brain change. That can show up as low mood, irritability, brain fog. Sorry about that. When the gut environment is irritated or inflamed or under chronic stress, the signals change. The gut communicates with the brain in three main pathways: the vagus nerve, immune signaling, and neurotransmitter production. If digestion is disrupted, those signals become distorted, not because something is wrong, but because the communication loop is stressed. This is why many people notice that when their digestion is off, their mood is off, their focus is off, and emotional regulation is off. It's also why supporting the gut often leads to clearer thinking, steadier emotions, and better attention, even when the goal wasn't necessarily mental health to start. The brain doesn't operate in isolation. It responds to the information it receives from the gut all day, every day. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. When people understand how their choices, environment, stress, and beliefs interact with their biology, fear loosens its grip and clarity returns. The body isn't random, it's responsive. And when people understand that, they can participate in their own health with with more confidence, less fear, and far better questions. How stress and chronic thinking create a domino effect. Stress is not just what happens to you. Stress is how the body interprets what's happening and then rehearses it. According to Joe Dispenza, when the brain repeatedly perceives a threat, whether real or imagined, it activates sur- the same sur- survival circuitry over and over, even when no immediate danger exists. This is where the domino effect begins. Step one, the brain sounds the alarm. The brain does not distinguish well between a physical threat, an emotional memory, or a future worry, or a reoccurring negative thought. It also doesn't distinguish well between fiction and nonfiction. We continuously watch high stress entertainment and media. We go from stressed out lives to high stress entertainment, and the body never leaves fight or flight. When the same thoughts are replayed daily, the brain treats them as a current reality, activating the stress response as if it is happening now. Your brain becomes a record of the past, according to Dispenza's research. Step two, chronic stress equals chronic cortisol. Frequent activation of the stress response leads to persistent elevated cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, the body stays in survival mode. Energy is diverted away from repair, digestion, and regeneration. The nervous system loses flexibility and resilience, and the body is no longer preparing for a short term challenge. It's living in emergency mode 24/7. Step 3. Chronic cortisol reshapes hormonal landscape. Chronic cortisol doesn't act alone. It influences sex hormones, thyroid signaling, insulin regulation, and inflammatory pathways. The body begins prioritizing survival over balance. And Dispenza's work, this is where thoughts become chemistry, and chemistry becomes biology. Step 4, the downstream systems feel the impact. When stress chemistry becomes the baseline, multiple systems are affected. Digestion slows, immune communication weakens, detox pathways become inefficient, sleep cycles are disrupted. Nothing is broken. The body is responding exactly the way it was designed to protect you. Step 5, symptoms appear, not as failure, but as signals. Symptoms are not random and they're not personal shortcomings. They're feedback loops, adaptation signals, messaging asking for a new pattern. As Dispenza teaches, the body cannot heal in the same state of consciousness that created the imbalance. This means that we have to be mindful of stinking thinking and be intentional about stopping the negative loops that continue to play over and over in our heads. Your biology is not working against you. It's responding to repeated signals from the mind, environment, and the nervous system. Change the signal, and the body can change the response. This is where awareness, regulation, and intentional pattern breaking become the gateway to healing. There's a reason why this work matters so deeply to me. In addition to my own cancer experience, last winter when my baby sister was in Phoenix receiving cancer care, my body started doing things that genuinely scared me. I was experiencing heart palpitations, shortness of breath, dizziness, lightheadedness, and a headache and sore throat that would not go away. And then I developed a sebaceous cyst on my back. In the back of my mind was a fear that I did not want to say out loud. What if my own cancer was coming back? 2025 was the 4-year mark for me, and they say statistically that cancer can come back in 5 years. So I did what most of us are trained to do. I went to the doctor looking for answers, half expecting some kind of diagnosis. We ran labs and more labs, and I was told, everything looks normal, you're fine. But I didn't feel fine. What I was experiencing was not a disease process, it was stress expressing itself physically. At that point, the worst hadn't happened yet. At that time, my baby sister was still alive. She was still fighting for her life. And the fear and uncertainty and helplessness of that season were living in my body, whether I acknowledged it or not. Months later, the worst did happen. On June 11th of 2024, we lost her. Steph left behind a husband, a 3-year-old daughter, and a 5-year-old son. Being the oldest of 3 girls, it had always been my responsibility to take care of my sisters, to make sure that they were safe. And I had failed her. My nervous system was a wreck. Not only did I lose my baby sister, but I lost my closest friend. And grief doesn't just live in the heart, it lives in the nervous system. It lives in tissues, and it lives in the breath. Instead of chasing another diagnosis, I asked a different question. What does my nervous system need right now? and I focused on regulation, breath work, tapping, meditation, being intentional with my food, using my vibration plate, using my cloud, not to fix myself, but to create safety again. And when the nervous system feels safer, the body stops shouting. That experience did not make me anti medicine, it made me whole person minded. Because when we only look for disease, we miss the story that the body's trying to tell. Our role at the story of our lives is to help people read the story, understand the patterns, and choose how the next chapter gets written. We support the whole person through three integrated pillars: gut and mind data with coaching, nervous system and energy regulation, and sustainable access to healthcare options. Pillar one: gut and mind data with coaching. We help people understand how their body is communicating with them and why the symptoms that they're experiencing didn't come out of nowhere. Most people have been taught to think of health like this: you have a symptom, you see a doctor, you get a diagnosis, and you get a treatment. But that model skips a critical step. Symptoms are not the problem, they're the message. What we do is help you decode that message. And here's the part that most people never hear: Band Aid solutions that only suppress or eliminate symptoms don't help the body heal. They may quiet the signal, but they don't address why that signal is there in the first place. When the message is silenced without being understood, the underlying stressor doesn't disappear. It eventually shows up somewhere else or later in a much louder way. The body is always trying to adapt and protect us. Our role is to help people listen, interpret what the body is communicating, and support it at the root so that true healing and regulation can actually occur. Your body is not a collection of separate parts doing their own thing. It's an interconnected system: gut, brain, hormones, immune system, detox pathways, nervous system, all talking to each other constantly. When one area is under stress, it creates a ripple effect everywhere else. So instead of asking, "What diagnosis is this?" we ask, "What stressors are driving this pattern?" That's the difference. We act like detectives and not labelers. We're not chasing disease names. We're looking for hidden stressors and metabolic chaos that slowly pushes the body out of balance over time. Things like chronic stress, blood sugar instability, gut dysfunction, inflammation, poor detox clearance, hormonal signaling issues, nervous system overload, environmental and lifestyle stress. These don't usually show up as a problem overnight. They stack quietly, sometimes for decades, until the body finally says, "I can't compensate anymore." That's when symptoms start appearing. Normal labs don't always mean you're fine. A big reason people feel stuck is because they're told you're normal, everything looks fine. But normal just means statistically average or common. It doesn't mean optimal. Normal lab ranges are based on population averages. As chronic illnesses increase, averages shift with it. Functional interpretation looks for optimal function, not just the absence of disease. The US spends more money on healthcare than any other country, yet ranks among the highest in chronic disease burden. Functional labs are used as feedback tools, not as diagnostic tools. They help us observe patterns, trends, adaptation, and stress responses. We're asking, is digestion as efficient? Is the body clearing waste well? Is blood sugar stable? Is cortisol balanced? Are hormones communicating properly? Is the nervous system stuck in survival mode? We don't diagnose and we don't treat. We interpret patterns and educate the individual so that they can make the best choices for labs that we use is the IMAP, this immune activity, and how well the body is handling microbes and inflammation. Your gut is not just about digestion, it's central to immunity, hormones, chemistry, detox, and inflammation control. If the gut is stressed, the whole body feels it. The second most common lab we use is the stress and hormone panel. This looks at cortisol rhythms, sex hormones, and how stress is impacting the body over a 24-hour cycle. Chronic stress doesn't just make you tired, it rewires your physiology. It affects sleep, mood, blood sugar, weight, immunity, and inflammation. We're not asking, is this hormone high or low? We're asking, is the body adapting well or is it barely hanging on? Why coaching is a non negotiable. Here's something that most people don't realize: stress is biological, beliefs shape physiology, thought patterns change chemistry. You can't supplement your way out of a dysregulated nervous system. So, coaching is where the real change happens. It helps people stop fearing their body, understand their stress patterns, builds awareness, create sustainable habits, restore trust in their own biology. This is not about perfection, it's about capacity, resilience, and regulation. We're not diagnosing disease, and we're not replacing medical care. We're not chasing symptoms. We're supporting the body's ability to do what it was designed to do: self regulate, adapt, and heal when stressors are reduced and inputs improve. Most people don't need another label, they need clarity to understand why their body is responding the way it is, why stressors are keeping it stuck, how to work with their biology instead of fighting it. That's what we do. We help people move from confusion and fear to clarity, confidence, and understanding of their own body by, by reconnecting the gut, the mind, and the nervous system so that the body can do its job. Before energy and both energy and chemistry are important. Much of what we're learning about health today isn't actually new. It's being rediscovered and better understood. Books like The Biology of Belief, Molecules of Emotion, and PEMF, The Fifth Element of Health, all point to the same foundational truth. Our cells are highly responsive to energy and information, often before chemistry ever comes into play. Before the body, before the body changes chemically, it changes electrically. That order matters. Every cell in the body relies on electrical charge. You can think of it as a cell's ability to send and receive signals. That electrical communication allows cells to coordinate, repair tissue, move nutrients in, move waste out, and respond to stress. This is how the nervous system works. This is how muscles contract. This is how the heart beats. This is how healing begins. We measure electrical activity in modern day medicine every day. EEGs measure the electrical activity in the brain. EKGs measure the electrical signals that coordinate each heartbeat. EMGs measure the electrical activation in muscle fibers. Notice what all of these measure first: not chemicals, electricity. When we talk about chemistry in the body, we're talking about nutrients, hormones, enzymes, neurotransmitters, vitamins, minerals, supplements, and medications. Chemistry provides the building blocks, but chemistry depends on communication. Nutrients don't automatically get absorbed. Hormones don't magically land where they're needed. They rely on signaling, transport, and coordination. This is why someone can eat very clean, take high quality supplements, and still not feel well. The chemistry may be excellent to receive. This became very real for me through my sister Steph. When she received her diagnosis, she quit smoking, she stopped drinking, she eliminated all processed foods and sugar. She was committed, she was disciplined, she was doing everything she knew to do. She tried different holistic approaches, first juicing in a fully plant based program, then later working with a holistic doctor and moving into the ketogenic approach. From the outside, it appeared that she was doing everything right. But by the time that she arrived at Healing of Oasis in Phoenix last November, her body was in serious trouble. She could barely walk. She was vomiting constantly. She had ongoing diarrhea, and later we learned that that had been happening for nearly a year. She thought that was normal. We also learned that she was anemic. None of us knew how sick she was aside from the cancer. Steph wasn't lacking effort. She wasn't lacking clean food or discipline. Her body simply wasn't able to absorb and utilize the nutrients that she was giving it. The chemistry was there, but the communication and capacity weren't. This is the part that often gets missed. You can give the body all the right inputs, but if it's depleted, inflamed, overwhelmed, or stuck in survival mode, it may not be able to use them. The body doesn't fail, it compensates. This isn't an either or conversation. Energy and chemistry are meant to work together. Energy supports communication and coordination. Chemistry provides the building blocks once that communication is clear. When both are supported together, the body has a much better chance to adapt, stabilize, and respond. This understanding is what changed the way I think about support. Instead of asking what to give the body, I started asking how to help the body receive what it's been given. That's where PEMF comes in, not as a replacement for nutrition or supplement, but as a way to support the body's energy communication systems so that everything else can work better. Pillar 2, nervous system and energy regulation. PEMF, or pulsed electromagnetic field, delivers low frequency electromagnetic pulses that interact with the electrical environment of the cell. It doesn't override biology, it supports by restoring charge and improving signal clarity, helping cells communicate more effectively. That's why PEMF tends to have system wide effects rather than single system effects. At the cellular level, energy determines whether nutrients move in, waste moves out, and signals move cleanly between tissues. When cells are under charge, everything slows: recovery, adaptation, and resilience. PEMF supports the electrochemical conditions that allow cells to return to optimal function. One thing I appreciate about this technology is its lineage. The original beamer signal was developed by Dr. Wolf Kafka in the late 1990s and helped bring PEMF into the mainstream. In 2020, that same scientist expanded the signal with the Syntropics cloud, not as a replacement, but as an evolution. I think of it like the shift from flip phones to smartphones. Same foundation, but a broader capability. That evolution is why this system doesn't use just one signal for everything. It offers different inputs depending on what the body needs. The cloud uses 5 foundational programs, often referred to as our best, each aligned with a different physiological state. R is rest. It supports the parasympathetic activation, calming the nervous system and creating conditions for repair. B is balance. This supports regulation, helping the body to stabilize when systems are out of sync due to stress or overload. E is energy. It supports cellular activation, not stimulation, but the availability of energy at the cellular level. S is for synergy. This supports coordination, helping the systems communicate and work together rather than in isolation. T is for transform. It's designed for deeper stimulation, supporting adaptation and change when the body has been stuck in compensatory systems. This is part of what makes the cloud stand out from every other PEMF device available on the market today. What I appreciate about the system is the acknowledgement is that it acknowledges something fundamental. The body doesn't need the same input all the time. Sometimes it needs rest, regulation, activation, and sometimes it needs deeper support. The Centropics Cloud was built around this understanding, offering a range of programs that meet the body where it is, rather than forcing it into one state. That flexibility, paired with high stimulation capacity and precise programming, is exactly why I chose it. Another reason the cloud stands out to me is the focus on molecular activation. At the cellular level, function depends on electrical charge. That charge influences how cells communicate, how nutrients move in, how waste moves out, and how signals travel across tissues. The cloud operates at a very high stimulation capacity, approximately 20,000 electromagnetic stimulations per second. That level of stimulation interacts with the body at a molecular scale rather than just targeting one pathway or system. To put that in perspective, we're talking about tens of millions of molecular interactions occurring simultaneously, supporting the body's cellular communication. That doesn't mean it forces change, it means it supplies the energy at a scale that allows the body to respond more efficiently system wide. This isn't about turning cells on or off, it's about supporting the electrical environment that cells rely on to function. I think about PEMF in the same way I think about charging a phone. Your phone doesn't stop working because it's broken, it stops working because the battery's depleted. The solution isn't to force the phone to do something more. It's plugging it into the power source so that it can function the way it was designed to. Our cells work in the same way. They run on electrical charge. When that charge drops, communication becomes inefficient, coordination breaks, and the body starts compensating instead of functioning smoothly. PEMF is simply a way of supplying energy, not to control the body, but to support it. When I look at PEMF through that lens, electrical communication, molecular activation, and system-wide support, the Centropics Cloud is the most comprehensive and well-designed option available on the market today. That's why it's the system that I trust, the system that I use, and the system that I make accessible through the story of our lives. Not because the body is broken, but because sometimes it just needs to be recharged. Through the story of our lives, we both sell and rent out the Centropics Cloud. Before I share my personal experience, I want to be very clear about something important. Just like with medicine, supplements, or any wellness approach, results vary from person to person. There are no guarantees, and there is nothing magical that creates overnight change without trade offs or side effects. We did not arrive at our current health conditions overnight, and meaningful change does not happen overnight either. What I'm sharing today is my personal experience, not a promise, a prediction of or a prediction of any outcomes for anyone else. Health requires engagement, intention, and consistency. And when we take that responsibility seriously, we don't just impact ourselves, we influence generations to come after us. My first experience with the cloud was in August. Things were just starting to calm down after losing Steph. We had finally gotten all of her flights canceled, her credit cards canceled, her work equipment returned, and many of the loose ends that needed to be tied up completed. A friend of ours invited us to come over and sit on the cloud. She used Synergy, and much to my surprise, I could tell a difference in how I felt. I was definitely still sad, but it was as if some of the weight had lifted from me. It didn't take the grief away, but and it didn't change reality, but my capacity felt different. In September, my husband and I attended a Syntropics Academy in Orlando where we had the opportunity to experience the Leo, the practitioner level system, which is larger and stronger and not designed for daily home use. Within 24 hours, I personally observed a noticeable reduction in the cysts that I had been monitoring. And you can see in my pictures here, this is December of 2024 and what it looked like, and this is December of 2025. Within about 48 hours, I personally observed a difference after using the Leo. After about 4 months of consistently using the cloud at least twice a day for 15 minutes, the cyst has reduced to the size that you see here in the picture. Using the cloud has also impacted my energy. For over a decade, I lived with persistent exhaustion. From 2012 to 2024, I depended on 3 5-hour energies a day just to keep up with life. I no longer need those, and life has become significantly more busy. I've also noticed a significant difference in my focus, as well as my anxiety when I use my bubble. That is the pendant that is on a necklace that you can wear with you. It's much easier to sit down, to stay present, and follow through on a task or a project rather than feeling like a squirrel on the loose and starting many different things but never finishing them. Feeling I'm feeling much less scattered, and it's made a huge impact on my day to day life. And I'm very grateful to have found these products to support my well being. Pillar 3 is access and sustainability to healthcare. One of the greatest drivers in chronic stress is financial fear around healthcare. People delay care, they ignore symptoms, and they stay stuck in jobs that they hate because they're afraid of losing coverage. This is why access matters. Impact Health Sharing is a nonprofit, community based cost sharing model. It is not insurance, and that distinction matters. Many individuals and families have found that they can save 30 to 40% on healthcare costs in comparison to traditional insurance. Depending on household size and plan selections, individual results can vary. One of the most important features is that the total out of pocket responsibility is capped at $5,000, providing clarity and predictability. Families are only charged for the first 3 people in the household, and additional children are included at no extra charge or cost. There are no networks. You can see the providers that you choose without referrals, without permission slips, and without unnecessary delays. You can choose between 4 different PRAs, or personal responsibility amounts. In insurance terms, that would indicate deductibles. Many choose lower, more accessible amounts than are available through traditional insurance models today. If you missed open enrollment, no worries. You can enroll at any time. Telehealth is included 24/7 without any extra fees. One annual well visit per member per year is included. This also includes $150 for routine lab work. For members under age 65, Impact offers $150 a month wellness credit that goes towards meeting your primary responsibility amount or your deductible. You are rewarded for being proactive about your health. Eligible wellness expenses may include supplements, gym memberships, fitness programs, massage, acupuncture, wellness apps, health coaches, and more. For members under 65, Impact Health Sharing will function just like your insurance plan. We use the same CPT codes and the same EDI codes so that your facility is able to submit the claim on your behalf just like they would with traditional insurance. As a matter of fact, once you schedule your appointment, Impact will call the facility and prepay the bill on your first wellness visit. As soon as you enroll, Impact reaches out to you to schedule a call so that they can help you maximize their benefits. This kind of service is simply unheard of in the traditional insurance industry. This is healthcare designed to work for people, not to make the CEO rich. For those of you who don't know me, I used to sell health insurance, and I'm very excited to partner with Impact Health and disrupt the insurance industry. It turns out that the Affordable Care Act is not so affordable. How it all comes together. Healing does not come from one tool, it comes from alignment. When we combine awareness, regulation, energy support, and sustainable access, we stop reacting and start responding. We don't chase symptoms, we observe patterns. We support resilience. Our focus is education so that people understand their options and can choose what fits their body and their life, as well as their budget. In closing, you are not broken. Your symptoms are not random, and your body is not betraying you. It's communicating. The question is not, what is wrong with me? The better question is, what is my body asking for, and am I ready to listen? If you're ready to take ownership of your health story, the story of our lives is here to support you. Not above you, not ahead of you, but with you. Own your story. Rewrite your future. Thank you. It's been my honor to stand along people in our community who are ready to take up space, trust their bodies, and shape what health looks like moving forward. It's been my privilege to be among those asking better questions, seeking deeper understanding, and choosing to live with intention. Thank you for allowing me to share my time and my heart.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Your slides were awesome. Definitely worth a retake. Really good, Sam. So, if anybody is here on the replay, make sure you reach out to Samantha and get more information and get involved and invest in your health. Thank you so much.